Antiques Roadshow theme tune that's on acid, isn't it? It sounds like Baron Silas Greenback from that.
It's the metals.
Is their latest ration out of fashion?
It's not rapping though, it's more like kind of the Pet Shop Boys. Maybe a prog song with swearing in it. Like a good quality tikka masala.
Progcast UK.
Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the Progcast. Today we're looking at the Afterman Ascension.
You're supposed to pronounce it Mancolon. Please carry on.
Okay, the Afterman Ascension by Coheed and Cambria. But where does it rank on the list amongst Robson and Jerome, PJ and Duncan, Daphne and Celeste, Simon and Garfunkel, Igloo and Hartley? Do you remember them? No?
Sorry.
Hall & Oates or Guns N' Roses? Let's find out.
I know Guns N' Roses. It's not prog.
Yeah, there's very, very little. Y&T? Is that prog?
It's definitely rock.
Yeah, I did consider going for like Sonic and Knuckles, Toe Jam and Earl, Battletoads and Double Dragon. Do you remember that?
Nice. Those are all Sega Genesis games. Win.
Yeah. Or Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, Rocky and Bullwinkle. Well, there's
How many have you got on that piece of paper? Have you got anything about the album on those notes, or have you just got...
It was just really fun.
Daphne and Celeste. Is that one?
Yes. Well done. I did actually mention them earlier. Well listened.
Shit.
The Corona's gone right to your head on it.
Did
You were so proud of that one as well.
Oh, wait, hang on. Can I have one?
God.
Laurel and Hardy. That took a lot of thought.
Keenan and Kel. More appropriate.
If you had the courage to stop me from turning into what would be the worst in everybody's eyes. Hey, I'm no angel or the devil.
Yeah, this has worried me a little bit because neither of us are really Coheed fans, and I can't really pretend that I know a lot about these guys.
No, but it's one of those albums. There's been a lot of hype about this album, and I'll be honest, I suggested we do this album before I'd actually listened to it because I was excited by all the hype. Because not only progressive community seemed to be interested and excited by it, but a lot of our friends who, well, Tim and Arthur, if you're listening, shout out.
Mad props to my peeps.
Yeah, they're really enjoying it. So I thought, well, why don't we go for it? And I think it falls loosely under the progressive umbrella.
I think it does, and I suppose the good thing to say about these guys is that they kind of do toe that line between being relatively popular and accessible and also progressive. So yeah, a lot of people that probably wouldn't put themselves in the prog camp are Coheed fans. Yeah, you can always tell whether it's actually prog or not. I was wondering whether it's prog or not. You can tell whether there's robot voices soon or later or not
it's
there.
pretty instant with
The robot voices were instant, and I was like, yep, we're here.
It really annoys me. Is that robot voice from something? It really reminds me that I spent the morning...
it's from space.
From the future. No, I spent a sad amount of time this morning YouTubing robots from fiction.
It's absolutely depressing, man.
Mate, that's a brilliant morning. If you're ever stupid on a Saturday morning.
What did that show?
It showed that, as far as I could tell, it wasn't for anything. I thought it might be from Minority Report, but it wasn't. And I looked up a few things. That one from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
A few other things. I couldn't work out what the hell.
Well, it sounded roboty enough to be authentic.
Or iRobot. That's another one that I thought it might be, but it wasn't. So yeah, if anyone knows.
It reminded me of what we said about some of the Roger Waters stuff. I like the way set the tone of an album with like some dialogue or a bit of effect. Like, are you awake, mother? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't know. Did that do enough to maintain it as a concept album, inverted commas? Because this is a band that loves the concept. I think the whole band is a concept. Like Coheed and Cambria are two of the protagonists of their all the narratives of their wars and all this kind of stuff.
Well, if I'm honest, I couldn't be asked listening to the lyrics to find out what the thing was about, so I looked online, and it's unfortunately it's based on comic books.
Yeah, well, he writes comic books, doesn't he? The main guy.
It's I knew prog was nerdy. I didn't realise this was all about comic books.
Yeah, it's only one step away from magma.
Pokemon by accident.
Well, the thing is though, the front cover, the album cover, doesn't it look like one of the legendary Pokemon on like maybe one of the later games, like Black and White or Diamond and Pearls and stuff?
It does look a bit like that, but I want to pretend I've got no knowledge of this.
Pokemon? What is Pokemon?
What are these video games that I've not spent 80 hours of my life playing?
80 hours, you wish.
Yeah, that's an 80 hours per game. Why am I saying this? You better be listening there, ladies. Yeah, I mean, I think that, after I heard that, I was thinking, this is definitely prog. And then the first song, Domino the Destitute, bursts in. And I thought this is actually a very cool, punchy first song, really. And got a lot of sort of heavy riffs. It's got interesting rhythms. It did sound like modern progressive metal.
I kind of disagree with you on that. There's progressive sounds to it in that the song structure's like non-uniform. I don't think the musical sound is particularly fresh. I think that's been done, quite by Coheed and Cambria previously, as well as like a lot of kind of Avenged Sevenfold, Bullet for My Valentine, that kind of school of, I guess you'd call it modern metal that's still influenced more by 80s metal rather than kind of 90s grunge or like alt metal, that kind of stuff. Which, while I enjoy it, I'm not sure how progressive that is. All the songs are very vocal driven. There's not many instrumental passages, not many like even just breaks. Everything's geared up to vocals.
Yeah, this is right. I think probably what I was saying was that they're injected with progressive elements, as in that it's not just straight up sort of strummed four chords. It has a sort of syncopated bit to it, but it's not full blown.
My God, behind the vocals, like it's very busy. There's a lot
That's kind of what I'm referring to.
Yeah, a lot of kind of buzzing guitar and interesting licks and riffs, and it's very interesting for sure. But there's still the sensibility, which I'd call a pop sensibility, of it's all focused around the vocals. The whole point of each song is the vocals, and
that's right, yeah.
Bloody catchy like vocal
it's
melodies
the opposite.
as well.
It's probably the opposite of Mastodon that we were talking about last week, where the emphasis, you got a bit of vocal to carry really intense, crazy music. Here, you do have some pretty intense music, but actually, yeah, it's about the song and the meaning and the lyrics and the vocal. I mean, what do you think of the vocal style on it?
I really like it. I think it's very good.
I think it's just not lumberjack enough.
What?
That's a Mastodon reference. His voice though is unusual, it's almost poppy. It's very soft and lilting. It's, and I find that's okay. But on the metal-y songs, it's like there's not any sort of bite or edge to the vocal. It sometimes sounds a bit like a young Michael Jackson.
Is that a bad thing? I think a lot of people would argue that's a compliment.
Well, yeah, exactly. Apart from the rest of it, nothing about his personal life at all. Just musically.
That we know of, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Jimmy Savile and all that. Who knows?
That's getting edited out. Unless you want to.
Oh well, I'll get rid of this page full of jokes then. Any excuse to get it onto Jimmy Savile just to
There's
get it.
There's no jokes on it. There's just more duos. No, I mean, like I said, what we're talking about here is. The good thing is that there's hook, and there's a lot of pop hook, which I love, and that's probably why it was instantly accessible. I've only listened to it, say, 3 or 4 times, but even now I can remember some of the choruses, and that's great.
Yeah, well, I've listened to it a lot on my daily commute on the train, so I've listened to it at least once, probably twice a day, most days this week, and yeah, well, it still seems fresh. I am beginning to tire of it, and that's quite quickly, I'd say, which probably suggests it's more on the pop end of the spectrum than prog. Whereas more like inaccessible proggy stuff takes time to grow on you, and then after 20 listens you're just about getting a handle on it rather
that's
than
right,
totally sick
yeah.
of it.
There is, I suppose, there's depth and complexity to the overarching story, but actually you're sort of right. It's more on the instantly appealing end, rather than the matures like a fine wine.
Yeah, but I mean that's still good too, though. It's not. I'm not one of these totally elitist people to like write off any sort of pop. I mean, I'm a big fan of pop myself, so I don't see that as people use pop as a dirty word, but I'd question how progressive it is and its place on the podcast at all. But anyway,
well, you suggested it, mate.
He's not here to wear. If he's not here to wear.
Before I think after the first listen, I read the review on allmusic.com, which, by the way, has gone really downhill since it was taken over by someone new.
You take that.
Anyway, the review on that, I can't remember the guy's name, but he got it spot on with an analogy to Phil Lynott's vocals and also like the kind of twin guitar, especially on Goodnight My Fair Lady.
Yeah.
And every time I listen to that, it's almost like a tribute to Lynott and like Thin Lizzy.
I love that song, and as you were saying before, there are 80s pop sensibilities, and that one kind of sounds very 80s to me. It almost sounds like there's an infusion of the Top Gear theme tune in there, in the way that there's dual harmony. This really reminds me of Top Gear.
What is the Top Gear theme tune? Is it the Allman
Brothers?
Allman Brothers, yeah.
Yeah.
Jessica, I think. Good knowledge. Banter.
Yeah, but it is nice to have that kind of pop sensibility. And as I was saying, sometimes prog stuff can be a bit unhinged and difficult to latch onto. You don't have that here.
Yeah. Final criticism related to the pop
That's
slash
not a final
prog
criticism. I've got a lot.
dichotomy. Oh right, well my final criticism is it's only 39 minutes long, which I felt a bit shortchanged about.
Yeah, but it's prog, man. It's part of a 2-disc set.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, right.
It's going to be another follow-up album, but still, that's no one.
Oh right, okay, I see what you mean. I thought I've got shortchanged it.
I've got extra 50% analysis here that you've not got. No, but it's part of like but I agree. Maybe it's better just to make an 80-minute album than 2 short discs. Maybe they thought I was more prog. I don't know.
Well, yeah, but if you're selling them for the same price, it's a convenient artistic choice to make, isn't it?
Selling England by the pound. Not really appropriate. Can we edit that off?
No, that's not the highlight of the show.
One thing that I would say here is actually we do often enjoy talking about the balance of an album, don't we?
It's important.
This is an album that I really enjoy the balance on. I like one thing I had a problem with Mastodon. I really love them, but Blood Mountain was a relentless just metal. What I like here is that they kind of worked quite well to have an atmospheric intro, a heavier song, an aggressive song, then a pop song. And I like that it kind of brings things down at the end and it has a sort of acousticy, trippy feel to it. I think it's good to be diverse as a band and not just have a one-track sound.
Yeah, no, agree. What I would say in argument against that is the first song, I just find it's basically a skip for me. That I think it's meant to be atmospheric and setting the mood, but it's something that we've heard many times.
What I would say is that the metal parts are a bit slow. There's never really a fast shreddy bit. It's mostly sort of slow to carry vocal or a melody like that. And the first song's like 7 minutes. It's not.
But that's because it's all about the vocal though. There's no time when it's like, right, let's just have a guitar solo here, or just like, actually let's just break it down. There's a couple of bits where they break it down and actually have what you might call an instrumental rather than a solo, but very few. So there's not really the option for that unless you wanted just to go absolutely balls out into thrash.
But I think there were bits on there where it was just, there are some bits where it's just chords and a riff, and I found them a bit dull really. It kind of needed the vocal to make it. I don't know. I just think that at points it seems a bit too slow and dragged a little. Final summing up, I think that when I first listened to it, I thought it was a nice approach to kind of rock pop music. I thought it did sound progressive in a sense, not just because it's part of a prog theme. I think they do have a unique approach to the way it works. I think the vocals sound different to anything I've heard before, and I like the balance of it. However, the downside, as we discussed, is that it may be, because it is accessible, it also doesn't have a lot of depth to it, and maybe after a few more listens I probably will be bored as well.
Yeah, I think for my taste I'd rather something slightly more, I don't know, progressive, or slight. They could have opened it up and expanded it a little bit, I think, but they kept it very tight and concise, which is fine, but it does err towards, as you say, the pop end rather than the maybe something more I would enjoy. Okay, welcome to episode 12 of the Progcast. Today we're looking at the Afterman Ascension. Like Afterman anyway.
For God's sake. I don't want to have to already edit your first sentence out.
I don't know why I decided to pronounce colon. I'll just start again. Stop saying
colon over and over again.
Well pronounced colon. It's a satisfying word to get your tongue around.
Right, stop it now. I can't find
We've got nothing to say about this album.
So, punctuation, eh? Full stop, exclamation mark. Right.
That's enough. Period. That's a period joke. Seriously, started properly.
God, just the idea of colon period. Right. Hello.